Hi, sir. So, you have been an IT icon in India. How did you get involved in rural issues and development?
So, you know, I did travel all over India selling computers, basically because the government of India policy at that time was to get industries to be set up in remote areas. And so, if you had to sell to factories, you had to go to remote areas to talk to them and meet them and stuff. Plus, if you were selling to coal fields, they're all remote. And so, I got a first-hand idea of India is not one country in multiple countries, and two specific countries, urban and rural, in a way, if I can give a broad definition. So when I so I've always wanted to do something, and I always wanted to try and see how we could leverage technology to provide better outcomes. And so I decided when I uh, stopped running companies or being active in running companies, that I would try and see how to leverage technology to provide better outcomes to the economically underprivileged in healthcare and in education. And that's really where I started. That's really what motivated me. Plus, I'm trying to make the answer short. Plus, my mother was a doctor in preventive and social medicine, and she worked on the National Malaria Eradication Program, public health, family planning, stuff like that. So in my younger days, I used to move around with her. So I did get some exposure to what those problems are. And so I've been, while she was alive, one looked at tuberculosis and all these communicable diseases that were being looked at. So that's really what drove me to start seriously considering spending time and effort in this area.
Okay, that's inspiring. What are some of the initiatives you have been involved in for rural India and what has been the impact?
So, number of initiatives. There's, Wheels, where a group of us in the US get together and try and again leverage technology in water, energy, education, health, livelihood, and sustainability. That's what Wheel stands for. Uh, I've also worked with the Antara Foundation, which addresses the issue of infant mortality, maternal health, and malnutrition. And they're doing some amazing work. They started in Rajasthan. The Rajasthan government has now liked it so much that they've taken it over. We had started with a few districts in Madhya Pradesh. Now the Madhya Pradesh government is asking us to go to more districts and get it. We expect one more state in the next few years, and then we expect the central government to make it a national program. And basically, it's a very interesting program. What we are doing is basically leveraging the infrastructure that already exists and put process in there that will allow them to become far more effective and efficient in terms of providing the services that we've already have the ASHA worker, the Anganwadi worker, and the auxiliary nurse, the 3 A's as I call them. And we're now getting them to work together in a more effective, efficient way so that they can get stuff done. Then there's PARFI, Pan IITians Action for India, where I'm on the board, where they do skilling of girls and men with a guarantee that they will place them in jobs after that. So it's somewhat unique skilling proposition. They have signed a joint venture called Praja with Jharkhand government, and that's been very successful. In fact, today 5 other states are wanting them to replicate that model in those states. We are training a number of girls, nursing, for example, in Jharkhand. I was there just a few weeks ago, and what was really nice was that every girl in that nursing program was from a subsistence agricultural family. That means they had less than 3 acres of land. And so, and it was lovely to see the motivation and all that has been done there. Then I'm on the board of Charity Aid Foundation India, where we do a lot of work. We work with some 450 NGOs try to work with them, make them more efficient, try and get them funding so they can get their job done. And finally, there's IITs for the transformation of India, where we are looking at rejuvenating water bodies in every district. The Prime Minister has just come up with that scheme. We've been doing it for a while. We have that model. And again, it's a model. All the models I try and work with, I try and make them self sustaining. I try and make sure that the community gets involved in getting it done so that it doesn't stop after you go away. The community carries it on because they see the benefit of whatever's going on. So that's really, if you ask in a nutshell, that's what it is. And of course, uh, Kiran Seth drives Spick McKay. I've been fortunate to be one of the quote unquote, if I use the term, of co-founder of Spick McKay. And if you've gone through university recently, you may have attended some of their performances. So, I've been involved directly, initially, and indirectly with Spick McKay since the time it started.
Okay, that's great. Can you just tell me about the Ideal Village Conference, which is going to happen in Banaras Hindu University? And how can industry get involved? And why should they support or sponsor the conference?
So the Ideal Village Conference is basically being set up to try and get a number of. See, there are some thousands of NGOs in India, a lot of them doing same kind of work. Everyone learning from scratch how to do it effectively. Now, one does understand that in India, every state is different, every district is somewhat different. There are social, cultural differences that have to be kept in mind when you do work in that district or that block or whatever. But the basics are something that can be shared. So just think of it, if we can give everyone a platform, tell them what has worked and what hasn't worked, and have them not relearn the whole thing from scratch, but learn from what has worked and try and then adapt it in their local situation and make it efficient. So that's number one. The second part of your question is, why should industry get involved? Industry is involved, whether they like it or not. You want your hinterland to become economically better off so that you get happier workers, you get more educated workers, you get more educated supervisors and stuff. Also, a lot of industry is dependent on water, clean water coming in. There are lots of things that industry has to work on. You want less trouble in that area around, and you want more and more people to be able to get jobs. And so, industry has a major, I think, benefit from improving the quality of life of the people in their hinterland. And so I think they understand it too. That's why we don't have to sell it to them. I use the word sell. But most of them know that they need it. They want a conduit. They want a way in which to make it happen that's efficient and effective. And that's what the situation is right.
And what is your vision for the National Ideal Village Movement for rural transformation?
My vision is, of course, that we have a demographic dividend in India. We have younger people, and it is, if we can educate them and we can get them to get jobs and become self-sufficient economically, I think we can become. We Everyone talks about becoming a global power, becoming a powerhouse, becoming, yeah, one of the largest economies in the world. I think those are all achievable if we can get our young people to become productive. And the only way to make them productive is to educate them, provide them with the basics, healthcare, food, security, just that, energy. Now, and I think that's what the ideal village is trying to do, is to trying to set up processes that will enable that to happen in a quicker, easier way, if, compared to if we don't do it and let things carry on the way they are. So that's really what we're trying to do.
And how would you like corporate India tech companies to support for this national movement?
So I think there are multiple ways in which they can support. They can come in and give us presentations of what they are doing. A lot of companies have their own foundations and are doing some very, very good work through those foundations in different areas. They can come in and participate with us. Uh, they can give us time. They can give us expertise, people who know how to do things. Then obviously they can invest in uh, getting some of these things done. They can help leverage. See, the government has a lot of infrastructure. It's not that they haven't done anything. It's just that that infrastructure is not as efficient and effective as it should be. And so I think if you want to get a major change in this country, in India, you have to work and leverage that infrastructure. And I think corporates can play a major role in telling us how to do that. And finally, we have to not, it's one thing to work at the rural level, but to get things done at the rural level, there are multiple layers. From a village, you go to a panchayat. From the
Right.
panchayat, you go to the block. From the block, you go to the district. From the district, you go to the state. Now, people, and they have infrastructure in all these levels. You have to motivate the whole chain if you want things to get done. People have not done things for so long that that becomes the norm. Now, to get people to start doing things, and not everyone, there are some people who do it, but you have to motivate them. And I
Right.
think industry can play a major role in getting that, in helping motivate that whole chain and making it effective and productive as you go along.
Okay, so that covers all my question. Is there anything you would like to add from your end?
No, no, I just think that what is very encouraging and interesting to see is that I work with some of these NGOs that are working in the rural area. I look at the profiles of the people who are working there. I am amazed that a lot of them are young people with very good degrees. They're from the IIT, the IIM, Indian School of Business, and they have given up their careers at some point
Right.
and decided to come in and work in some of these remote areas, live in, you know, uh, substandard conditions, if I use that term, because as you get to the smaller towns, a lot of the amenities and facilities that you have in a metropolitan city are not available, and work in rural areas. And I am amazed at and actually thrilled to see that kind of those kinds of profiles doing the work. To me, it means that things will get done
Right.
because you have young, intelligent people with a lot of energy, right? And yeah, I was telling someone the other day that if I was running a company, that's the profile I would like in my executive team, and then they're working with NGOs at a fraction of what they could earn if they worked in the corporate world. And I really take my hats off to them, and I'm really impressed. And I think seeing that, uh, I think we have a very good chance of making a real difference. India is a big country; it's not going to happen overnight, but it is going to happen.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you, sir. It's an honor speaking.
thank you.